WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American in Germany, and today I have a doozy of a whiskey. It's called Old School Malt. Over 31 years of age, from Signatory Vintage Scotch Whisky. It says here, there's a little tiny secret over here. First of all, it says we have how many bottles. We have here 1,148 bottles, and we have batch number 1, which I did not even realize in my German video. It's like, wait, batch 1 means there might be batch 2. All right, so what do we have here? We have 104 different single malts blended together for this. Yes, you heard right, 104 single malts. All of the single malts are here on the back of the label. I'm sure you cannot read them all that quickly, but all 104 are named on the back of the label. I have not found anyone who actually has written them all down on a website yet. Whiskey base 249066 or 066. The Whiskey Exchange has it for £285. And over in Germany, we went for 385 euros, which means there's 50 euros gap between the British and the German price for recommended retail. 43.5%. Some people write cask strength, others don't. I do not have any indication on the bottle that this is cask strength or on the tube. Now, this guy here, I guess, and I can only guess it's going to be Andrew Symington. He is the founder of Signatory Vintage. He owns Edredauer, Balvenie, and it says on the back of the bottle here, and I'll put some in my glass in a moment, this outstanding vatting has been carefully vatted, now I got it, from 104 different single malts Scotch whiskies. It was returned to allow to be married in sherry casks for 26 years. It's very small writing, and my eyes are getting worse as I get older. Now, this is a good example of when to use a decanter. Do not use decanter Signatory Vintage for a 50 euro, 60 euro whiskey. But do use a decanter for 300 euro whiskeys. All right, so that doesn't matter if we pay 300 or 310. So I'm going to read some of the distilleries here in a second. I have, ding, 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 a 35-year-old from Berry Brothers and Rudd blended Scotch. Blended malt means only single malt, 100% malted barley on a pot still. Single Scotch means grain, either column still or not 100% malted barley, and single malts together. So this is whiskey base number 128070. I paid for the 35-year-old Berry Brothers and Rudd. It's called the Perspective Series, number 1. There was a 25 and there was a 21-year-old. You can find the videos on my channel. This is 43%. It's part of the Landscape Photography by Lindsay Robertson. They talked about the art of the photography as well as the whiskey on the website. I think I paid 260 euros for this. This is 365.75, I think is what I had to pay for this. All right, so first question of the day is, why do we put 104 different single malts together? One of the theories I read online is that you actually empty the sherry butts, you empty the casks, you put them back, and after emptying them, a little bit of the liquid actually gathers back at the bottom of the cask. So you just turn it over, and then you have a little bit. These are called the butt ends. Just like you have the little bit of the heels of a bottle, you can have the heels of a cask. And then just like I take my, let's say I have a ketchup bottle, and then I put it there, and then afterwards, oh look, there's still some left. And same thing happens with the cask. And so what you can do is you can take these heels and you can actually then gather them the second time and you can mix them together. Nowhere does it say that there's equal amounts of 104 different single malts. So one of my theories is, and I might be totally wrong here, is that we would have, let's say, about 100 different distilleries where we had 5 cl, 10 cl, half a liter, 50 cls, and you just gather them and gather them and gather them. There's 1,148 bottles, which means there's about 805 liters if we go for cask strength at 43.5%. So you need two sherry butts. So there might be other sherry butts laying around there at Signatory Vintage. That there might be more of this coming in the future. So you just take that. The youngest whiskey is 31 years of age. There can be things that are even older in here. And so one of my theories was we take 100 of maybe 5 cl, 10 cl, 20 cl. You mix them all together. Then you add maybe from, let's just say, Strathile. Let's just say from Glenfiddich, 31-year-old stock. Or back then, it's for 26 years, it's been resting in the cask. So you take 5-year-old whiskey and just put that in there and leave it sit for another 26 years. And then you have a 31-year-old blended malt. And so of the 800 and some liters, maybe 600, 700 was for 26 years ago, just 5-year-old stock. Boom. Put it in there, you leave it for 26 years. Could have been. I don't know. So let me read some of the distilleries here that are in here. So we have in here, for example, Banff, closed distillery. We have Brora. We have Coleburn, closed. Dallasdhu, closed. Glenmore, closed. Killyloch, closed. Little Mill, closed. Lochside, closed. Port Ellard was closed, now reopened. So we have here Pittivich, closed. We have Springbank in here. We have Glenugie, never heard of that. Glenury, Glenlochy, Convalmore. What else do we? I think I mentioned Coleburn, Dunglass, Imperial, Killyloch, Linlithgow, Lochside, and Milburn, and. So there's all these things in here we'll never ever be able to try again. I commend Signatory Vintage for bringing out this blend. This actually gives us the opportunity to taste a work of history. I will never, I think, get my hands on a Linlithgow. I will probably never get my hands on a Coleburn. And now I get the chance to at least go, oh, what is that? And read up on this. This is actually like a living bottle that's been collected 26 years ago of, even back then, closed distilleries. And we get to now actually have this moment of awe. Now, my question is, does it taste good? Would I pay 380 euros for it? So on the nose, this smells fabulous. All right, I get old bottle flavor immediately. I get old furniture polish. I get a little bit of the candied orange moment. Get some oak. Get a little bit of tropical fruit. I get old school moment. You really recognize, or I recognize, that this whiskey has been there for a long, long time. I don't even know about Dunglass. I'm just looking at the names again and going, wow, Dallasdhu, I've been there, seen the museum. Dunglass, I don't even know where they are, where they existed. Never even heard of them before. It's in here. This is a living museum. This is fabulous. Thank you. So now the grain comes through a little bit more. It's brighter. It's a little bit fruitier. There's more tropical moments going on in here. A little bit more melon. I think this is very good. If I remember correctly, I think the 21 or 25 was better than the 35, and the 35 cost about 100 euros more. So it's not often that we get 30-plus-year-old whiskeys in our glass. So we should just celebrate this moment together, I guess. All right. So on the nose, as I said, I really like, there's a little bit of tannin, oak, spice, maybe a little bit of burnt toast. Could that be the peat? I mean, there's Port Ellen in here. There's all these peaty whiskeys from there. Back then, there has to be peat. But the nose, I just don't really get it. Now, on the nose, this is more up my alley, but this is very good. So, B minus, but still very, very nice. On the palate, so remember, I am not a peat head. Hmm. The very interesting thing is bitter. Then it goes into sour. Then it goes into a little bit of that furniture polish. And then it goes into ashtray. It goes into peat. It goes into old school fireplace extinguished cold smoke. Absolutely not for me. Nicht meins. That's German. Not for me. Wow. And there's a astringency, wood, oaky tannins. There's a guy actually here on Dram Life on Whiskey Base. He wrote, sampled at a blind tasting. I think this is very, very interesting. Very dry, yes. Rather thin on the palate, yes. Bitter oak, yes. Tropical fruits, vanilla cream, honey, like a blend. Likely a blend, tropical and slightly oil, subtly earthy. And then he said, post-reveal, LOL, gimmicking marketing at its finest. I get candied orange still. It has a very long finish. But this is a whiskey I celebrate for its existence. And yet, in the glass, I'm not going to enjoy it. This is something that's just not up my alley. It's not what I'm looking for. It's not what I want from a whiskey. And yet, for the uniqueness, I'm going to grade this, I'm going to give this a taste. For me, it's a D+. All right? Not mine. Not what I like. Value for money. I have no idea. Let's go for a C minus. All right? How many 31-year-old whiskeys do I get with 104 different products in there? So far in my life, none. And therefore, sometimes I add this extra special little category called uniqueness. This is an A++ with a star. I've never given that before, all right? This is an A++ with a star for the uniqueness. This is so cool, and yet not my flavor profile. If I go over to the 35-year-old Berry Brothers and Wren Perspective blended Scotch, it reminds me of a Chevis Riegel 25-year-old. There's depth, there's fruitiness, there's it's a little bit more. I like this so much better. This just is not my wheelhouse. There are people giving this whiskey here. I'm going to go over to the community. 94 points, 93 points, 92 points, 91 points, 90, 90, 90. And there are people giving it 77s and 78s and 82s. And this is one of the whiskeys that is allowed to actually create this divide between what do I hope to get and what do I really get. And some people are just going to add another. This might be an 83 product for many people, and then but it's 31-year-old and I paid 300 plus euros for it. I'm going to add another 10 points. It's going to be 93. Yeah, just because, and I just might be, and this is really probably more the case, I cannot appreciate the whiskeys in here. It's not my wheelhouse. It's not my flavor profile. And other people are going to try this and go, wow, that's amazing. What is it? And it's, oh, wow, that's even more amazing now. While I would tend to something a little bit brighter, lighter, and less expensive, to be honest. So, will it be batch two? Will I ever have the chance to try these whiskeys? Probably not. Would I go out and buy a new bottle of this? Probably not. And yet, it's like something I want to kind of store away for historical purposes. It's like I want to have a bottle of this just to as a reference to be able to pour for people and go, hey, have you ever had? This is so unique. This is so cool. This is so different. And I really, really just celebrate this whiskey. I like it, even though I don't enjoy it. I like the concept. I just don't enjoy the flavor profile. So, WhiskyJason here, whiskey from viewpoint of an American over in Germany. 3 questions. First question is, what closed distillery do you like? I had a lady, I'm sorry, she would go to the whiskey fair in Limburg and always go to the booth from Jack Weber's and try Banff. And 20, 30, 40 euros a pour. Every year she'd be there. He had some old bottles and she just loved it. Ralphie just recently in his list of distilleries, he'd done A, B, and C, D, and so on. And in B, Banff, he said, don't try it. It's not worth it. It's like, whoa, that's a difference in opinion. So what is your favorite close distillery? And the second question is almost the same but different, is what close distillery would you like to try? So I think Brora is on my list, but I think I've tried it. I don't even remember. Shame on me. All right. And the last question is what is your oldest whiskey you've ever had? Either from the date of production or from the age statement on the bottle. Some people have had from the I recently had something pro-prohibition. Pre-prohibition. Wow. In America. It was made in 1918, something around that, 1920. Someone gave it to me blind. Jason, try this. This is great. I was like, I didn't like it. Oh, what is it? It's not good. And they're like, Jason, it's pro-prohibition bourbon. It's like, sorry, I still don't like it. Yeah, it was my oldest whiskey ever from 1920s, let's say that. All right, so 100 years ago, basically. But I've never had a 100-year-old whiskey. I've had 50-year-old whiskey, but not 100-year-old. So it's your oldest whiskeys you've ever had. Let's get a little discussion going down in the comments. That'd be great. That'd be very, very great. Thank you, Signatory Vintage. Thank you, Andrew Symington, for this bottle. And I look forward to other things you have hidden away in your warehouse. See you real soon. WhiskyJason here. Bye-bye.